Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm here to share with you some of the lessons that I learned a couple of weeks ago in a class that I took called Stand and Deliver. This class, as the name suggests, teaches people how to stand in front of an audience and present yourself, either by way of speech or a PowerPoint presentation. The four important lessons that I learned in this class was eye contact, using the space around you. Number 3 is how do we use gestures and hand movement? And lastly, advanced speech and presentations. Why I paused to look at my list, you will see as the speech proceeds. Eye contact. Time and again, a lot of our experienced speakers have talked about how or why eye contact is important. What I learned in this class was by way of practical experience. The instructor actually explained to us a 5-second rule. Most of us are aware of a 2-second rule because we all drive. And what is a 5-second rule? Connect with your audience for at least 5 seconds and then move on to another audience or a spectator. And why do we do that? Because if you just kept moving from one person to another in your audience, you're actually just scanning, which takes away from the speech because everybody is distracted. And worse, some people just roll their eyes up because they're thinking what to say next. And do you guys want to know what we did to master this piece? The instructor actually had us come forward and he made us not say anything, but just look at somebody for 5 seconds, and we got a finger flick after 5 seconds from that person. And we couldn't move on to anybody else until we got a finger flick. It really sounded very stupid when we were first told, because who wants to go and stand like a dummy and just stare without saying anything? But as I was standing and doing that exercise, in the first second I thought it was really dumb because all I had to do was this. And then in the second and third seconds I realized that I was focusing more. And by the time I came to the 5th second, I had really connected with that person. A very important skill, but hard to master. And the cool thing about this class, because probably some of you are wondering, that's exactly what Toastmasters is all about. Why do we have to go for another class? In this class, the instructor actually tapes what you do. I had 4 of my performances taped, and I got to see it. Believe me, it's very different. And it's really an awesome experience to learn the right things. And in the middle of your performance, the instructor would stop you and say, this is what you didn't do right. Like if I had my hands locked or if I started scanning, he would stop me, correct me, make me repeat it, and then take me again. So when I saw what I did, I was actually able to see what mistake I did, how I corrected. So it was a very useful class in my opinion. The next thing is about using the space. So far, if you really notice, I did not use my space very well around me. And what the instructor said was to use the space purposefully. What that means is to actually not just face up and down or hover, but to actually go, root yourself in that place, stand in the neutral position or not, which would be using gestures, and then talk. But not forget the first lesson, which is the 5-second rule, and then move on. And you could move purposefully because you know somebody in the audience, you know they were coming to your seminar or your presentation because they were interested in your topic, or maybe everybody's a stranger, but then as you were standing and talking, you noticed that somebody was paying really, a keen attention to what you were saying, and maybe they were very interested in your speech. That could be one of several reasons, or no reason at all. But you have to move purposefully, not just face up and down and expose the fact that you're nervous or you're not confident about your speech. The next is the gestures or the hand movement. Lots of times, even myself, when I was standing and when I was taking this class and when I was speaking, I noticed that I was only doing this, or I was doing this. The entire space around you could be used when you're making gestures. You don't have to just do only this, or just stand like this, and a lot of men, they put their hands in their pocket. We don't really need to do that. Or if you don't feel comfortable doing anything with your hands, you could use the neutral position, which would be this. The reason why we want to do that is because we oftentimes find that we are really tight, and when you actually take a deep breath, it allows you to move well. The instructor actually pointed out to a couple of people that were actually either speaking too fast or they were very nervous, and because of that, they were really tightening up, which is what was preventing them from using their hands freely or talking in a more confident way. And the last thing is mostly for advanced speeches or for people who are in the habit of giving PowerPoint presentations, which is to really pay attention to how they are standing and talking when they are referring to a piece of paper or when they are referring to a computer screen. Oftentimes we find that when people are looking, when the people are making an advanced presentation like Suresh did a while ago, it's very difficult to talk without looking at your notes. And the way you want to do that is, it's okay to look at the notes, and the way you want to do that is, look down at your notes, read what you have to say, and then look up at the audience. Don't forget the 5-second rule, connect with them, and then talk. It is okay to take a peek at the notes, but what is not okay is to do this. Because then you might as well just hand the notes to the audience and have them read it, because that's not something that they really appreciate. And these 4 takeaways are the important lessons that I learned. And believe it or not, Toastmasters is the best exercise machine for you to master these skills. But I would still recommend that you take this class because you can see what you did there. In Toastmasters, we get very good constructive feedback, which really helps us, but to see what you did there and have you corrected right there and then get a second chance to redo what you did and be able to see that again made a big difference. Mr. Toastmaster.